This is the varieties that we're going to be growing in our 2025 grow alongs, and there will be more information on each of these individually in the new year. This is just so you can have a head start and get hold of the seeds if you are going to be using the same seeds as myself. It is definitely not compulsory to have exactly the same varieties, and if you already have plenty from magazines or that you've already got in your stash, then you can use those varieties. If, however, you are putting an order in and you're not really sure, then do message me and we can always answer some of those questions beforehand so you don't miss getting hold of these seeds at a time when you might be putting an order in. I buy the majority of my seeds from Real Seeds, which is an independent company who are based in Wales. They can be maybe a little bit more expensive than some of the budget seed varieties, but I found that their germination is really good. Their communication with any issues, if you do have any, is also fantastic, and they're a company that I found that are definitely reliable. So the first one we're going to be talking about today is the Chillies, and the variety on this one is the Palivec long red chili pepper. I'll pop the pictures up of each of the varieties because obviously there's not much on the envelopes. So if you are joining in with this grow along, you will need grow lights and some additional heat to start these off. And this will be our earliest grow along that will be starting right at the very beginning of February. There is the possibility of trying to join in with these later if you've got really good lighting in your house from March, then you may find that these will do okay from then with a good south-facing windowsill. If you don't have either of those available, then you could pick up any chilli at a garden centre and continue with the grow along from there at later on in the year. And then next up is our cucumber variety, and this is a variety called Tamra. And the reason that I also like their seeds is because we can save seeds from these because they're all open pollinated. So we will be looking at how to do that, and I'm growing just this variety in the polytunnel this year. They can also be grown outside, but if you are growing them outside, then you are likely to have a less productive plant and slightly smaller cucumbers. Once again, you could grow any other variety, and we will go over the different types and the different needs for the different types as well in the individual videos. And then we've got our leek grow along, and this one I'm going to be using a variety called Bulgarian Giant. This is ones that I've grown for the last couple of years, and they produce really large leeks, which are also very tall, and they are requiring quite a sizable netting in my area where I have got the allium leaf miner. These are harvestable in the autumn or early winter. So if you do want a variety where you are going to be harvesting them in winter or in the new year, then you will want a winter variety. If, like myself, you prefer to grow them and have them available for soups and things over the winter, then it's a good variety to choose. For our pea grow along, I've got two different varieties that we're going to have a look at for this one. The first of all is a dwarf variety, and this one's called Kelvedon Wonder. This one is a easier variety if you don't have the space to offer that support to a taller variety, and we'll go through the different types on the individual video as well. And then we'll also be looking at a sugar snap variety, which is called Magnolia. These have a beautiful coloured flower as well, and they will require that bit of support. And then we have our grow alongs for over the winter next year. So the first one we're going to be looking at is giant winter spinach. So Real Seeds have two different varieties of winter spinach, one that is just called winter spinach, and then this one, which no doubt I'm going to get the variety wrong, but it's monstreux de viroflay, something along those lines. So it's the one with the longer name of the two options. It wouldn't matter which of the two that you get, as long as you've got a winter variety. That's all that we're worried about, and that is what we need because they are going to be hardy. And then we're looking at a broad bean, and this is Aquadulce, and it's a long podded variety. that we'll be looking at doing for this. You could also use field beans, will be absolutely fine, or any other winter hardy broad bean, but they do need to be winter hardy. So do check on the variety that you have to make sure that we can sow them at that time of the year. And then for our flower grow along this year, we're going to be doing the French marigolds. You could also use African marigolds. This is a dwarf variety called Bolero. Any type of marigold will be absolutely fine. Just be aware if they're not dwarf, then they can be quite substantially large. And these will be absolutely great to plant between our tomatoes and plant outside as well to help between different rows of crops for different pest resistance. Marigolds are one of those things that are extremely easy actually to save the seed from. So just make a selection of ones that you think are really pretty and you like the flowers of, if you are going for a different variety of than this one. All of these seeds from Real Seeds, if you're joining in with all of them, cost just under £22. That's not including postage. For our raspberry grow along, the plan for me was to do some autumn raspberries, and I have an established patch of autumn raspberries. So I've actually had some damage from the storm on both my arches and the raspberry supports. So I will need to be looking at moving these. I'll be buying a Patio variety from rootsplant.co.uk, and it's the variety Yummy, and we'll be looking at the grow along with that first of all, but we will also look later on, and I will record while I do it earlier, of how we're going to trim them and things like that for later in next year as well. And then hopefully at some point I will be looking at moving some of my established plants and also adding some others, so we'll be able to do enough of that grow along to make sure that all the information is there. If you are looking for cane varieties rather than a patio variety, then you want to make sure that it is an autumn planting variety. Certain ones will also do better in damper soil, so have a look on the read up and choose some varieties that you're happy with. You may also find that some of the golden varieties or the black varieties of raspberries are less likely to get attacked by different birds and creatures that are going to nibble on these plants as well, and are less likely then to need covering. There are plenty of varieties, and you can also buy long canes as well as short canes. So the long canes will mature and give fruit earlier than the shorter ones, but you usually find that you have less available varieties in those, and they are that little bit more expensive, so it'll just depend what your needs are and what you want to get going with. There was also a few of you that were talking to me about wanting to do a loofah grow along, and as much as I am growing loofahs, I'm definitely not at the point where I'm happy that I could do a grow along myself. They are not quite doing as well as they should do. So another gardener called Juliet that will be doing this is from Gardenstone Life. She's on Instagram as well as has a website. So I will pop that information into the caption, and then you can join in with her grow along as well. And she has information leaflets of how to get going with your seeds, which I'll pop a screenshot up, and she's very kindly said that she's happy for me to do this. So do check out her webpage. She's actually got a beautiful webpage and some lovely recipes and things like that on there as well. So it'd be a great one to follow along with, and I will certainly be following along myself too.